Welcome to Brox and Max. Like and subscribe. Check out the content, all the footage, all the trucks, all the equipment, everything in between. I got my young son here with his broken finger. So what we have here is a semi cleaned up Brockway 761. Getting it all ready to go for the Macungie Truck Show down in Allentown, PA.
Semi cleaned up?
Semi. Hand washed, but not wiped down. So it's got some water spots. It's alright. Built this truck in the early 2000s. It was a rust bucket when we got it. It actually has a different cab. I forgot my pointer finger, so I'm just going to have to use this instead. This had the original tube type, those Alcoas with the split rim, and I converted that to 22.5. This was the tube type 22.5, converted everything to tubeless. And then what we have here is air ride, semi air ride suspension with walking beams. What is that? Has anybody ever seen such a beast? Hendrickson makes them. You have the torque rod here. This, my pointer finger doesn't move. Bear with me. You got dual leveling valves. 4 airbags. I don't know if you can get see a better shot on the side here. The bracket is huge. You take the springs out. It's actually a conversion kit that you keep your Hendrickson walking beams and replace the springs with airbags. Kind of unique. Hendrickson, like I said, makes them, but this brand is called Ray-Dan. They're made in Canada. It's all bolted up, and it's kind of neat. It's not the full effect of air ride. It actually is about a half and half. It doesn't have the stiffness of springs, and it doesn't have the softness of air ride. It just has like an in-between. It takes the shock away. Actually, what happened is they wanted me to put dual torque rods, one for the front rear, one for the back rear, but it was so stiff that I just decided to take this out and try it out, and it actually helps a lot better. My reasoning for doing that was I wanted to save these original rears here and the front rear, because this is at the time, probably had 95,000 original miles on it, and I wanted to keep the rear ends as for a nostalgic reason. Doesn't make sense to me now. I should have just put a cutoff on it, a New Way air ride cutoff with maybe Bud hubs or whatever. But I do like the overall appearance of the truck. And again, it's got the original rears, Rockwell SQHD, 38,000 pound, 444 ratio. And it's got this, it's not a huge winch, but a medium-sized winch. It's got a double overdrive 13-speed in it. So it boogies down the road pretty good. That's why it's my favorite truck to take on real long trips. Talk about the motor in a minute, along with the double over 13 speed and what I would suggest people do not do. We have the door panels reupholstered. The headliner is original. They're very difficult to keep snapped up in there. They always want to collapse and fall down. Then I put this non-original seat in there just so I could handle it. So at this very moment, it has 104, almost 105,000. I'll have 105,000 miles by tomorrow. But it's basically all original.
You look crammed in there.
Well, it's because it's not a +3 cab. For tall guys like me, you have to improvise because I have not much room here. I can't even put my fist to make a fist for my comfort zone spot. So this had a nice decorative tilt wheel plastic cover that I would always hit with my knee. I'm sure anybody that's driven a 700 series would understand that it's just in the way. Never mind, I don't tilt the wheel. The way I drive, I just tilt the wheel all the way forward. So I took this handle out. There was a handle for adjusting it. I just took the handle away, put regular bolts in, trying to give myself some room. Like, it's just not in the cards for me with a non-+3 cab. I make it work. Don't get me wrong. It's a comfortable truck to drive. After about a couple hours, you're kind of getting a little bit loose and wishing you'd get out and stretch. But overall, it's a comfortable truck to drive. I actually have the 3-seat, which is another not original part of the truck. Brockways never came as far as I know, but if they did, please put in the comments. This is a R model 2-seater for like a garbage truck or municipality of some sort, just to make 3 people sit in this, and there was a purpose for that last year. So I retrofitted it in there, and it just seems to work out good. Is it comfortable?
Yep.
Are you going to be as comfortable driving down to Macungie and back in this said seat?
Yours is a lot more comfortable, but I'll deal with this.
All right. So anyway, back to the what's under the hood situation. What's under this hood? Is it a Cummins? Is it a Caterpillar? Is it a V12 Detroit? Drum roll. Ooh. Well, there's 4 cylinders on this side. I would imagine it's got 4 cylinders on the other side. So it is a non-turboed because we have just the naturally aspirated, no snail on top here, with the exhaust manifolds coming up and around to make a snail, and then out the back we go. So it is a 318 horsepower 8V71 Detroit. In its day, I wouldn't say it was a powerhouse, but in its day it was comparable for everything that was out there. It does go down the road. It does have its own unique sound. The torque is not there, which brings me to my next piece of advice. For any of you viewers that are building something down the road and want to make it highway speeds, because this truck originally had just the traditional overdrive 13 speed, I could only get about 62 miles an hour out of it. So I thought it was a great idea to put a double overdrive 13 speed in this truck. Am I happy with the build? Yes. But would I do it over again? Absolutely not. Because it will go a comfortable 70 down the road, which is fine. But you just don't have the torque that you need to keep it a consistent 70 miles an hour, because you're constantly shifting it on the upper end of the transmission, being that the gear ratio is just so high to compensate for the 444s, but you don't have the torque like a Cummins would to keep it boogieing down the road at 70 at 1500 RPM or 1600, whatever this goes. So my suggestion for anybody, don't put a double overdrive 13-speed in a Detroit, because you will be slightly disappointed. Not in the end result with the road speed, but more of the torque. It just doesn't have it. And any of you 761 guys, this plate is not existent. I actually made that in high school on a hand crank milling machine, not CNC. Back when this was being built in the early 2000s, it actually made the Syracuse National ATCA show. I believe that was in 2003. That was when we finished it in 2003. So let's give this a start and see what it sounds like. It's all ready to go for tomorrow. Fueled up. It's got oil pressure, so obviously it's got oil in it. And stay tuned for the show. Like and subscribe. Till next time.